I'll tell you one thing that happened was some of the comments came in and suggested that you may not actually believe this stuff, that you're just doing it for money
Look,
or
that's something that you wanted to hear. That's not
no, no,
true
no,
at
no.
all.
I'm not.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is I don't believe that at all. I believe
Yeah.
you legitimately believe this stuff. I
I
believe
don't believe it. I know it.
that's what I'm saying.
You
Though, is that
believe you live on a ball because of pictures. I showed you the pictures aren't real, but you still believe it. So I don't understand your belief.
okay? We are live on another edition of the Edlow podcast, recording but live. It's live for us. I'm here with Flat Earth Dave. Dave, it's good to see you again, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been about a year, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time. You came on about a year ago, and we had a discussion. I felt like a really good discussion about your views on flat Earth. And now I just thought I was like, man, I saw the Artemis go up. I didn't even know what was happening. Honestly, I had no idea. Just all of a sudden, my son showed up on his phone. And he goes, "Look at this rocket going up," and I was like, "Oh, they're going to the moon. That seems out of nowhere." And so I was like, "Well, I'm curious what Dave has to say about this." So I had you back on. So I'm glad you're willing to come on.
Yeah, no problem. People say, can you prove the Artemis is fake? I mean, besides, it's just there's zero evidence. But the Earth is not a globe. Therefore, Artemis is fake. Period.
Okay.
The Earth has
Okay.
been proven flat. It is not a spinning globe in a space vacuum. Therefore, Artemis is fake. But so far, they've only shown us stuff that is, I wouldn't even say highly questionable. I would just say absolutely ridiculous. I'm at the point right now, is this an intelligence test for the world? Or are they trying to let everybody know? Are they trying to wake people up to the deception of this world through the fake space program?
So, okay, let's start with what you just said. You said the Earth has been proven flat by who?
By measuring it. I mean, there is no curvature. If something doesn't curve, then it's what?
Well, it's flat. Sure.
If something doesn't move, then it's what?
Well, yeah.
If something doesn't move, then it's stationary.
Right.
So every scientific test ever done through all of history to prove the axial rotation or the curvature of the Earth has failed and proven the opposite. It's absolutely insane. We went over, curvature issues that we can see too far. I mean, for some of your audience that might be new to this, let's just look at one example, right? Let's look at so if we live on a ball, wherever you are, you're on the top, and everything goes down and away in all directions, right? I mean, it's big. It might look flat because it's really far before it goes down, but it's really not that far because in just 3 miles there's 6 feet of curvature. 10 miles there's 66 feet of curvature. I can look across a 10-mile lake and see the shoreline on the other side. There should be a 6-story building in between us, a wall 6 stories high, of water blocking that beach, but we can see it. We can see it too far. So there's 2 oil platforms, one here, right? This oil platform is 6 miles away, and this one is 10 miles away.
Okay.
And this is all verifiable. Don't believe anything I tell you. You got to verify this stuff yourself, right? And I give you all the resources. 10 miles away. Camera's just 8 feet off the ground. Using the Globe Earth calculator, the horizon should be 3.5 miles away. So about halfway to this platform. The horizon should be here. What is the horizon? What is the horizon?
What is the horizon? You mean the place where the sun comes up from the?
The horizon is the line that you see that is distinguishes the sky and the land.
Sure. Okay.
So that's your horizon. But what is the horizon? So, some props. So here we have a ball. It has curvature, and this is on the top of the ball. And as it goes away, it disappears from the bottom up.
Right.
So it's behind here.
Okay.
So if it's behind here, if you had a zoom camera, could you zoom it back in?
No,
it's behind. Right? It's behind. Only when it comes up. Now, if the Earth was a ball, this is how things would work. But actually, it wouldn't work because we'd all be dead. That's a whole nother story. So the question is, if something is behind the curve of the Earth, can you see it? And the answer is no, but the Globers will say, well, refraction, right? Refraction. So refraction means that the light is bending up over the Earth. So here we have the water here. This is all water, right? So
Right.
let me ask you a question. If something is going away from you and you have a boat that's 1 inch tall and a
Mhm.
boat that's a regular boat, 20 feet tall,
Mhm.
which one is going to disappear over the horizon first?
The 1 inch one.
Yeah, of course, because it's lower and it only needs an inch of curvature to hide it.
Right.
The other one needs 30 feet of curvature to hide it, or however tall the boat is, right?
Sure.
What needs less than an inch of curvature? Well, what was something that's smaller than the boat? A half an inch, a quarter inch, an eighth of an inch, or the surface of the water would be the first thing to disappear,
Okay.
right? The surface of the water would be the first thing to disappear. So if my hand is the surface of the water and it's behind the curve, how can you see my fingers? They'd all have to refract up. I'll turn a sideways view. They'd all have to refract up and stop perfectly. So this part here refracts up a little bit. This refracts up more. This refracts up more. This refracts up more. Right. And it has to stop and it can't go up higher because that would look weird. And it can't have any divots because there'd be holes in what you're seeing. But look here. We can see the surface of the water. We shouldn't be able to see the surface of the water halfway to this rig, but we can see it here. We can see it here. We can see it miles beyond it. So does that mean the Earth is flat? No. Well, yes, it does. But you could say the Earth is a different size.
Okay.
And so the radius of the Earth is 3959. We'll just round off 4,000 miles, just under 4,000 miles. That's what they tell us the radius is. Well, if the Earth is bigger, the radius is bigger. And everything in space, our solar system, space travel, GPS, everything is based off the radius of the Earth. If we falsify the radius, we falsify space, we falsify the solar system, we falsify the heliocentric religion completely. Well, the distances that we've mapped where we can see things would require a radius of 400,000 miles.
Hmm.
So it's 1,000 times bigger. On Earth, 1,000 times bigger. Now, it is impossible for the Earth to be a bigger ball. It's not a ball.
Okay.
It's been falsified. Here's the thing. There's no more, we don't need to go out and prove flat Earth. It's already been proven. We just need to teach people what they've been lied to. People are so lost. I'm watching, well, we're going to get into Artemis in a second, but I was watching, I never turn on the mainstream news, but I was at the gym today and Squawk Box, I think is on, the main guy there. And he's got a guy from NASA on, and he's goo gagaing over this space stuff, and they're showing pictures that are just horrible. They're just the worst things ever. And they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. What are the flat earthers going to say now? Well, how about have a flat earther on? Let us show you how childish you're being.
So that's the thing. So just so you know, I went to law school, so I didn't have to do math and science. So I don't know anything about this. I haven't looked into it at all, other than what our discussion at all. And as far as all the pictures and stuff, I've seen a couple of pictures. It looks like what you would expect in a movie, right? Just a big, blue ball with
I think
clouds
the movies
everywhere.
are better. Movies are
Okay.
better. They're way better than anything they've given us for Artemis.
Yeah. So, but I guess my overarching question has been, it really has been, I think it was on the podcast and since, has been, why would they lie to us about it being a globe is sort of being flat? Is that just to stop us from exploring farther, or
Well,
what do you think it is?
it's again, I'm not the psychopath that's lying, but it's clear why they're lying. They're lying about control. If you had a mountain lion as a pet and you had it in a fenced-in yard, a quarter of an acre, he'd be pacing that fence forever. He wouldn't be very happy. Then you put him in an acre, he'd still pace the fence. You put him in 5,000 acres. One day he's going to see the fence. He's going to go, a fence. He's going to turn around and go do what lions do, and he's not going to care. You put a human in a 500 trillion mile fenced in area. When he sees the fence, what does he say?
I want to see what's behind the
I
fence.
gotta know what's on the other side, right? So they put us on a ball to make us think that this is all that there is. You can boil it down to they're hiding God. That's it. That's the bottom line, right? And a lot of people are like, well, I don't believe in God. Well, That's the biggest religion of all. And I used to be in that religion. I don't believe in God, right? But it's absolutely provable that there is a creator. If you got here on Earth, no one's here, you know nothing. You're walking through the jungle, and all of a sudden you come to the World Trade Towers, 210 stories tall. Do you know for a fact that there's a builder?
Oh, sure.
Do you know
Yeah.
who the builder is?
No.
Okay, no. So that you can want to figure it out, but you know there's a builder. When you understand that the Earth is intelligently designed, which is a flat Earth is an intelligent designed Earth, then you know there's a creator. They don't want us. They don't want us in that situation.
So
They don't.
so just so I make sure I understand, you think your view is you think that the people are lying because on the other side of the fence, God lives there and they don't want us
Oh,
to go
no,
there?
no, I'm not saying that. God
Okay.
might live above us. I mean, God's close and not diluted. How do you dilute something? You pour it into something bigger. A glass of milk, you pour it in a bathtub. It's all right, it's a little diluted. Take that bathtub, pour it into the ocean. It's gone. It's diluted. How do you dilute God? You pour it into infinite space, infinite expanding space. Our
Yeah.
space is expanding at like 1 billion miles an hour or something. It's so stupid. Or whatever the number is. It's just expanding. What's it expanding into? Space is expanding into what?
Yeah, I mean, that's the question, right? Is we hear I've heard that a lot. They go, "The universe is expanding," and I go, Where's it expanding to?" I've asked that myself a number of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the this, why I guess what I'm saying is why do we need it to be a flat Earth for God to be real, or is that not what you're saying?
Well, no, I mean, on the ball Earth, you can have God created or the Big Bang created. The Jesuit priests talk about the Big Bang, and that's now what science says. But when there's a flat Earth, you can no longer deny God's existence. When you want, there's a Bible verse, Daniel something that says, basically says, once you see my creation, you can no longer deny my existence, and that's a fact.
Mm.
That's an absolute fact.
Okay, so I get it. Well, so you're saying that, we don't know the creation of God because if it's flat, we don't know him because we don't know his creation kind of
No,
idea?
no, no. I'm saying when it's flat, you know there's a creator and you know that you're at the center of creation and you know that this place was created for us.
Mhm.
That gives you a much stronger connection to figure out what your relationship with God is.
Got it, got it.
And now,
So
I didn't get into flat earth because of religion or God or anything. I was an atheist, if you will. I got into it because of science. Science applies to everybody. The
yeah.
Bible and God only apply to people that believe or understand what it is. There's a
So
lot of non-believers out there, but science applies to everybody. So I lead with the science.
so that's interesting. So you're saying that before you came to believe flat Earth, you were an atheist, and now that you believe flat Earth, you believe in a creator.
100%. There's no
That
doubt. I don't
that's
believe.
fascinating.
I know there's a creator.
Yeah.
I absolutely know it.
Do you have you subscribed to any kind of religion or just generally like more
I'm not
agnostic?
an organized religion person, but
Okay.
I follow the Bible is the greatest history book of all time. So you can take
Mm,
it from there. I kind of draw the line. My job, my calling, if you will, is I bring people to the understanding that there is a creator, and that's why I say now the journey's yours. You have to figure out relationship. Other people can set examples for them on how to act,
sure.
or people can set examples for them how not to act. There's a lot of Christians that kept me away from looking at any religion because of the way that they pushed their
Yeah.
views as absolute facts and everything.
Yeah. So that's interesting. When you, being someone who I would describe as a leader in the flat earth community, does this kind of tend to be a similar experience for other people in flat earth where they come to know God more by being a
There are
by,
no atheist flat earthers. Isn't that amazing?
that is actually quite interesting.
There's
Wow.
none. There's
That's,
none. Absolutely
yeah,
none. And most of the anti-flat earthers, if not all of them, are atheists.
that's so interesting. So, the community of flat earth, do we have an idea of like the number of how many there are?
Well, in 2017, they did a poll. 2017, and a lot has changed since then. They did a poll in Brazil. Do you believe the Earth is a globe, flat, or something? And I think it was 11 million people said not a globe
11 million people just in
in
Brazil.
Brazil.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
in
interesting.
in Brazil.
So
So
there's a large contingent. If you extrapolate that out to the world, there's a large contingent of people who believe this.
yes, 100%.
Wow. So going to the Artemis then. So do you think that one of the things that was put forward to me uh, out there was that the reason that Artemis is even happening is because but the original moon landing had to do with, well, it was kind of like a pissing match between Russia and America, and someone wanted to get there first, and so they were the ones who kind of did the whole thing. And it's kind of the same thing now, where we've heard that China was going to do something, so Donald Trump decided he was going to do something. What is your view as why this is all of a sudden happening now?
All of this, people say, "Oh, how, why wouldn't Russia or China or, any other country, you know, telling us that we faked space?" Because they're all faking space and they're all in it together. There is no separation. Separation is how they control us, right? They have
Mhm.
us fighting with each other. Right wing, left wing, this sports team, that sports team, this religion, that religion. Black, white, color races. They got us. Everyone fighting against each other. And again, this is an energetic war that we're in. This is a spiritual war. The way you win a
Mhm.
spiritual war is you convince people that it doesn't exist, and
Mhm.
and so they don't care what side we take as long as we're fighting. That's all
Hmm.
they want. They want us angry and fighting. I find this place interesting. I love everybody, even the haters that give me my best ideas. Like this Artemis launch is the greatest gift to flat Earth. There's so many people waking up on the Pat Gray show. These guys are talking about it. Their comment section is 95%. You're correct. The earth is flat. I mean, it's incredible. 2026. It's incredible how many people there are now.
Man.
On my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, let me just show you something real quick and then we'll get into Artemis. I have the friend finder, right? Because people are like, hey, it's hard to find people. Well, this is what it's looked at since we were under 100,000 when we did ours last year. We're at 231,000. This is just America. Look, these are people that have my app that are full on flat earthers,
Wow.
right? And this is the UK, crazy. And this is less than 1% of the flat earthers out there, way less, right? There's so many people that don't even know who I am, don't know about the app, or no, there's just, these are the people that are on the friend finder. And you can message them. You can, I even have a dating thing on here where
You can find other flat earthers to date.
let me tell you something. If you're a flat earther, you either want to convert your new friend or find one that's already there.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I even made a job board. Now that they in 2014 were like, "Oh, good luck getting a job, you dumb flat earther." Now we don't want to work with you. We don't want to hire you, and we don't want to be hired by you. So I started my own job board, and it's taken off. It's just new. I'm only letting flat earthers with real jobs put stuff on there, and a bunch of people have gotten jobs already. So
So when you
amazing.
give me an idea, is now that you have this app, I assume you've probably done some demographic information. I mean, is there a like we hear things about demographics where most liberals are college educated, and there's arguments as to why that is, and most this person the education level. Is there like any demographics on flat earthers? Are there are there lawyers and doctors and
Lawyers,
people who
doctors, PhDs. There's everything, and I would say the the biggest market is mid to late 20s to 80. Right it's a massive market. Then there's also another market in little kids up
hmm,
to like age 11. But 11 to 21 are the dumbest, most indoctrinated, lost souls on earth. It's incredible what the school system is doing to them. You can't get that. Seniors in high school are literally, if you had to come up with what age group are the dumbest people on earth, it's 18-year-olds. It's
uh,
incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
and you think that is because the school system is just
Oh,
so
100%. The first thing they teach in school is the planets, right? In kindergarten, they're teaching you how the sun and the moon work. Why? Because then every program, every television show, Sesame Street, everything, it's all indoctrination. And and then they control you. Once they have you believing you're spinning, you're out of control. Um, you're spinning out of control through space, it breaks your mind. Kids are smart. They know that we don't live on a spinning ball, but people that they trust tell them that that we're on a spinning ball. And then the people that who does a kid trust the most?
Generally, the parents, I would
Okay,
think.
their parents. So when they're little and they're being a little pain in the ass, they'd say 2, 3. What do your
To
parents
to
tell them?
about to about 25,
What do you do?
2 to 25.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
yeah, no,
What do you do? You tell them. You tell them.
but
You
what
tell
what
them
what
to
do I tell
control
them?
them. Yeah,
Oh, what do I tell? Well, I mean,
you tell them Santa Claus isn't going to come unless
oh,
you
Santa.
behave, right?
Sure, sure,
Unless you behave. And so
Santa and the Easter Bunny and the
yeah,
Tooth
yeah.
Fairy,
So
yeah.
so you literally control your kids with that. Then when they're like 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever year it is, they find out Santa's not real. My parents lied to me. So now they're trusting their school teachers. They go to school and it's
Mhm,
globes. It's just globes, globes, globes everywhere. And
mhm,
they're sucking you into this fantasy world. Every kid wants to be an astronaut. I did.
mhm, mhm,
I
mhm,
did. Right?
mhm.
They do you know who Don Pettit is?
I've heard the name, but I
He's
couldn't.
an astronaut. He speaks like this. He's the one that said he says we lost the technology and we can't. It's a painful process to build it back again. That's why we haven't been to the moon. He's literally the R word. Okay,
Mhm.
so
Okay.
when they were looking for one astronaut, space station astronaut, they actually put ads out in the United States worldwide, and they got like 40,000 applications,
Hmm,
and they chose Don Pettit. Okay.
mhm.
I mean, literally a dunce. Now, I think he believes he went into space. I think he's totally under mind control, hypnosis, whatever. But again, for those of you listening that haven't looked into flat Earth, if you Google it, you're going to get fed nonsense. Your brain's going to get tired. You're going to get confused and you're going to give up. Don't do that. Go to my website, flatearthdave.com. Scroll down. You'll see Crash Course. Watch the first 5 videos in there and you will be a flat earther.
Man,
But Google will never serve you those videos. Never. I got a little test for you.
okay.
Is this a real photo? Of course not.
No,
Okay. Is this from Artemis or did I make it with ChatGPT?
I couldn't tell one way or the other, quite frankly.
How about this one?
Same.
How about that one?
Yeah, I mean,
How about that one?
I couldn't tell.
How about that one?
Yeah.
How about that one?
So you think these are all fake? These are all fake pictures?
NASA gets $70 million a day. I did that in 5 minutes with the free version of ChatGPT,
Hmm.
right? I forgot, which I think it's this one, right? And this is the picture I took it from, right? So this is the real one. This is the bottom of the spaceship. Let me bring that. Let me just make that bigger. Let me see if I can make that bigger. Right. So transition, right? What the hell are we looking at here? Is this like folded up laundry with like? Is this a cup? Is this a Dixie cup?
Hmm.
What are these? This is the shot that they gave us from space for like a
So
day and a half.
this is the actual picture then
That's from Artemis.
wow. Okay.
That's the crap that they show us.
Mhm.
Isn't
Hmm.
that crazy? Isn't that credible?
Yeah, so so again, like, they're this is all you in your mind, this is all just some fake thing that they're doing now. Why now, do you think? Why do you think they're doing it now?
Well, because when in the 40s and 50s they were exploring Antarctica, and Admiral Byrd made some discoveries. He said there's land bigger than the United States that no one has ever discovered on the other side of the South Pole. Wait a minute, how does that work on a ball? From where he was coming from, on the other side of the South Pole would be Australia and Africa. And he says there's something bigger than the United States over there. How come they never saw it? Right. So on a
Mhm.
flat Earth, it would just be out in that direction. There's more land. So he told that story on a news show. Shortly after that, he died in his sleep. That's weird. And then NASA was created and they said, hey, we're going to the moon. We're sending a bunch of Freemasons to the moon. And and just look up. Don't look out, look up. And all of the countries in the world that are at war with each other, they all signed on to the Antarctic Treaty that nobody can independently explore beyond 60 degrees south.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. That's a legitimate thing. You could look that up
that
and see
is a
the treaty.
legitimate thing. Look up the Antarctic Treaty, Article 6. And actually, just last year, a a young kid that was trying to fly to every continent, it would make a world record or something. He flew to Antarctica on without a flight plan, and he landed, and he was arrested. This kid tweeted and Instagram post and Facebook post 30 times a day, easy.
Hmm.
Not a single post since then.
Hmm.
Gone. He's missing in action. Did he see something he wasn't supposed to see? What happened? Where is he?
So, what is the? I mean, have you ever been in in a debate with someone who claims to be a scientist with NASA or somebody? Have you ever had anything like that? And if so, what were their arguments to some of this stuff
Their
when you were
arguments
starting?
are horrible. We had a PhD, my friend co-host Angels of Light. Um, we had this PhD guy on this other podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, the Earth isn't flat, and let's talk about it." But he was a reasonable thinking man, and every point we made, he finished the point for us. He
Hmm.
finished the point for us. Look, I'm on Artemis. It says Artemis right there, so you know it's true, right? You know
Right.
it's
Right.
true. Look, and there's the moon. We're on our way to the moon. I mean,
Mhm.
look how easy this crap is. I don't even know how to do this stuff, and I did it in 5 minutes. Oh, look, guy from the space station. I heard they lost one of theirs. Right? You
Right.
can tell I'm in space because how would I have an astronaut up here and the moon?
Right. So, okay, here's another question for you. Going back from Artemis. So, in the 80s, I can't remember what year it was. I remember we watched the space shuttle go off and then exploded, and allegedly all the astronauts died, right? Do you believe that actually happened?
No, nobody's ever on any ship ever, and 6 out of those 7 astronauts have been found alive.
Wait. What? I didn't. Tell me more about that.
So, we'll get into the shuttle a little bit. So this is let me just get rid of this real quick. Um, these are the astronauts. This guy says he has an identical twin. This is the teacher, the school teacher. She's now a teacher at Yale University. Sharon McCullough, or whatever last name is, same age, same name, looks exactly the same teeth, sounds exactly the same birthday, but it's not her, right? And when people go up and talk to her, her reaction is bizarre. If like bizarre. This guy, Dick Scobie, same name, again, same identical. Like if you had one doppelganger that looks exactly like you, that's amazing. The same birthday, same age, everything, that's impossible. But 6 of them, right? This guy had a business called Cows and Trees, and his website had a cow that was launching up like a rocket with a smoke trail that looked just like this Challenger smoke trail, the infamous smoke trail that we saw on his website. As the opening to his website, we pointed it out. Website's gone.
Hmm.
Website's gone. Right, and it's absolutely incredible when you look into all of these people. You can tell that it's totally fake.
Have they? Okay, so why not just challenge one of these people to get a DNA test? Don't we have the DNA from the people who died? I'm sure we do.
Listen, you can't. They're DNA. I don't even believe in DNA tests. I think it's nonsense. But no,
You don't, you
they
don't
will.
believe in DNA?
DNA is a whole nother thing. Now you can tell some things from it, but it's not what they say. So
Okay.
and DNA, you can find genetic. Don't get me wrong, you can find genetics and everything else, but
Okay.
it's not what they say it is. There was Justin Harvey, We Are Change Orlando. He went to the town council in Orlando, wherever NASA is, and challenged them. He said, "Hey, they're faking space. He wants an investigation," and he was thrown out before his 3 minutes. They're like, "We
Mhm.
don't have to hear this," and that they can't do that. He ended up suing them, and he won.
Hmm.
And during the lawsuit, before they settled with him, they said they gave him the opportunity. They made it so he could subpoena all of these people. And as soon as they found out they were doing that, they settled. They're like, okay, this case is over. So getting DNA from them, not going to happen. And who could we even trust that would do it? Because you pay off one person, like,
Yeah.
can you
Yeah.
can you verify DNA?
Well, if they're faking all this, certainly they could fake a DNA
Yeah,
test, right?
right. So
So that
let's
makes sense.
let's look at the shuttle for a second because this will help with Artemis. This this thing weighs 4 million pounds at launch, right? So if you know anything about inertia, now let me ask a question: you ever been in a hurricane?
No.
A hurricane, 150-mile-an-hour winds, 180-mile-an-hour winds, terrifying. Rips telephone poles out of the ground, snaps trees, right?
Mhm,
How about a
mhm,
tornado, 300-mile-an-hour winds? It'll pull cement foundations out of the ground.
mhm,
It'll turn metal into a pretzel.
mhm,
See this little fence?
mhm.
It doesn't move. This thing is going to lift 4 million pounds with 20,000-mile-an-hour thrust. Get out of here. Right?
Okay.
Get out of here. You ever see those Tesla commercials, 0 to like 80 in like 3 seconds or something?
Sure,
And
sure.
see what happens to the people? This thing, the Artemis 2, it has Artemis also, it has to accelerate at 200 miles per hour every 5 seconds for 8 minutes. Do you think you could survive that? Look, this thing goes up and down. Watch, it goes up. Well, first it went up and down a little bit. So 4 million pounds doesn't do doesn't do that. This smoke is all coming out of the ground. The fence doesn't get this, excuse me, doesn't get destroyed. But let me just fast forward here. So they always have this shot and they're zooming out a little bit. Look, how fast is this thing moving? It has to be increasing by 200 miles an hour every 5 seconds. Now, this is 35 miles downstream. Now, you can't hear it on here, but it's going to eject the external rockets. And on the video, filming it from 35 miles away, you hear it at the exact same time that it happens. You hear psh, right there.
Hmm,
It would take over 90 seconds for that sound to get back to the camera.
hmm.
Right. So this is just a Hollywood. I think that they do launch something. It does crash into the ground. I think this is just a projection now. This is just a hologram in space, and not even in space, in the sky. And anything that goes up, curves up, goes down, and crashes right into the ground. Here's here is what is this one? Yeah. So just watch this glitch. You see that glitch? I'm going to play it again in slow motion. Watch. This just shows you that they're manipulating. Ready? Boom. See that?
Hmm,
Still a
hmm,
wave.
mhm.
So that's
You
weird.
think that's a glitch?
Well, people say, oh, it's just compression. You don't understand. Right? This is January 9th, 1990, STS mission 32. And this is 1996, number 78. And if we look at the debris and we put them side by side, it's the exact same thing. They're lazy. They won't even make new stuff. It's the exact same footage they used 6 years apart.
Hmm.
Why would they fake it if it's real? They were showing a satellite launch. This is the shuttle in space. What's this guy doing here? And then when this thing goes up, you can see the cable that's pulling it up. This is in a
This
studio. This is a
this
model.
this was supposed to be happening.
This is live from space, launching a communication satellite, and this guy's face showed up.
Huh. Interesting.
We know it, we're gonna keep going here a little bit. So we're gonna talk about aerodynamicity, if that's a word. Okay.
Okay.
Here's a
Alright.
747. You got this nice flush, right?
Mhm,
You got the
mhm.
SR-71 Blackbird, can't even have paint on it because it goes Mach 3.2. The paint burns off. The thing actually gets so hot it expands 6 inches when it's going. And this is the space shuttle that goes 10 times faster than this. Look at the inset windows, right? You got this
Mhm.
guy, you got this 747, and you got this with these holes and the blunt nose. And look at this thing. This is like PVC piping on the side. This thing goes 17,000 miles. What is this? That if you put that on the outside of a regular airplane at 500 miles an hour, it would rip off.
Hmm.
Maybe, right? Look
Okay.
at the nose of this thing. What does this look like? looks like a balloon to me. Who's the largest user of helium in the world?
Good question. Who?
NASA. They control 95% of the helium or even more. They own all the big helium companies.
What
Does
was?
this look aerodynamic to you? Look at this thing.
Yeah. So what do you think? Okay,
Look at
Elon
these
Musk.
windows.
Elon Musk. He's shooting stuff up into space. You think he's part of the conspiracy?
He's totally a part of it. I don't know. I go back and forth whether he's just mind controlled or he's just in on it. He's not the richest man in the world. He's just a puppet that the richest people in the world use to move markets and do all sorts of things.
Mhm. So when you're referring to they,
Yeah.
is there a definable group that you're referring to, or is it just the elite in general, or do we not know who they are?
Well, there's a they that we do know, and then there's a they that we don't know that are controlling them. But the ones that we know, I call it the round table. You got the Council of Foreign Relations, the United Nations, the Bilderberg Group, the Club of Rome, Royal Institute of International Affairs, and the Trilateral Commission. You've heard of some of those, maybe all
Uh,
of them.
I've heard of them. I'm curious. The Bilderberg group.
Yep,
Who is that's the one I'm the least familiar with, but I've heard a lot when coming with these theories. Who
yep.
are they?
These are all unelected people that run all the corporations in all the countries. These are the ones that make all of the policy and all of the decisions. I think they're just the puppets of the real rulers. When all of the rulers in the world go to Antarctica at the weirdest times. John Kerry went during one of the elections, literally on election day, and they all go to Antarctica. They go to the whatever base it is, then they disappear for 2 or 3 days, and then they show back up at the base, and then they go back home. I think they're getting their marching orders from I don't know who, fallen angels. I couldn't tell you. I would just have to speculate.
Hmm. So, do you think? I mean, maybe it's speculation, but it's fun to think about. Do you think that the other they are other people here on Earth that are trying to control us, or do you think it's someone from the other side of the fence?
Say that again.
Yeah. So the they that we don't know. Do you think that the they that we don't know are people who are richer, who are quieter, who are just trying to control the populace, or do you think it's somebody from the other side of the fence saying, "Hey, we don't want your people over here"?
No, no, they're we're literally in biblical times right now. There is amazing stuff going on. Greatest time to be alive. Make sure you have enough non-GMO popcorn because the show is going to be a crazy in the next year and two. 26 and 27 are going to be insane. Um, I think that this world is run by a ruling class that you can't even conceive of. They're the people, these bloodlines that are out there that you've never even heard of, right? You've never even heard of. Santos Bonacci gets into some of the names, the Orsini family, and but you don't hear about these people. And it's not about money; it's about power and control. And they look at us as useless eaters. And you know what? From their point of view, seeing how friggin' stupid people are and the nonsense that they believe, um, I get it. I get it. I get how
Yeah.
they look at us and goes, these are just stupid people. Because when you're awake to this stuff, it's hard to see these people that are such automatons. Like we do these lives. I mean, Angels of Light does them, and I do them sometimes on TikTok. And we let one at a time. We let people come up to defend what we call the globe religion.
Hmm.
And we say 21 and over, because if you get somebody between 18 and 21, they are so dumb, it literally is demoralizing. It makes me lose faith in humanity,
Hmm.
how indoctrinated they are. And if you mention God, boom, you lost them all. You lose them instantly.
Hmm.
It's unbelievable. So school makes you believe in the solar system, makes you believe that God doesn't exist. And you know what else that I know this year I've noticed? I do a bunch of high school classes, like 8 classes a semester, and they're all seniors in high school. None of them can even fathom that there's a hidden secret society, cabal, whatever you want to call it, that runs our government. that even influences our government. They believe in government 100%.
That's
They can't even fathom that there's a controlling force.
so. Uh, is Alex Jones a flat earther?
He knows the earth is flat. Yes, I was on his show twice, and behind the scenes, he gave the nod, but he won't talk about it. Now, there's very few people that I think are controlled by other humans.
Mhm.
Trying to word this correctly. He's one of them. He's totally sold out. Now, let me tell you something. Alex Jones woke me up. He's the one that I watched him for years. He woke
Mhm.
me up in the early days. Um,
Mhm.
but he's gatekeeping stuff. Him and Joe Rogan are the two biggest gatekeepers out there. But he does put out some good stuff. But he also is the ultimate gatekeeper.
So when you say gatekeeper, meaning they have more information that they're letting people know?
And they lead you down roads that are dead ends away from the truth.
Why that's interesting because everything I've seen or heard about Joe Rogan, it appears that he's like the most curious person I know.
Joe Rogan said years ago, he said he would he was taking apart the moon landing years ago. And he says, there's no way you could ever convince me that the moon landing was real. Then he goes on a little vacation. He comes back. His first guest is Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Hmm.
He interviews him about the moon landing. And Joe goes, oh, babe, I got to rethink this. Maybe it seems like I was wrong. And then he got a $200 million contract.
Hmm.
$200 million can make a lot of people not talk about things and talk about things that they don't want to, that they wouldn't normally talk about. $200 million can make people do a lot
So you think that the reason why he got $200 million is because he was exposing the moon landing and
because
flat Earth?
he was getting big, and basically they came to him and said, we're going to make you even bigger, but here are the rules. Here's what you got to do. Whatever. I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's a spiritual thing. I don't know if they got him into some Epstein, blackmail or whatever. But I'm speculating that he would have to, like, he wants to be rich. He wants to be powerful. He's the biggest podcaster in the world. That's huge, bigger than most networks. And they probably, they get him at a party, does some crazy shit that they get it on film. They're like, hey, we got this thing on you, but hey, we're going to give you $200 million contract. You can keep having that every year and we'll never show this, if you play along. It's an offer that, that you can't refuse once you're in that situation.
But
So
but the thing is, though, is he's constantly fighting mainstream media. I mean,
a
that whole
little bit,
COVID
and
thing.
now he's flipping back on the moon landing. Listen, God bless all the gatekeepers, the agents, everything, because they're just making more flat earthers. but like the Pat Gray, from the Blaze, he's like, I wonder what the flat earthers have to say about Artemis now. Well, how about have a flat earther on? I emailed their producer this morning. I'm like, how about have me on, and I'll tell you what we think. We think you guys are children, adult men playing like children.
Hmm.
Mine or Artemis.
So
They
wait,
just
is it
they gave us the moonrise picture this morning. All right, mine or
so
Artemis.
so is that okay? Is that a real picture? Is that when you?
Mine or Artemis.
Oh, which one? I
Mine or
couldn't tell you.
Artemis.
I couldn't tell you.
Mine or Artemis.
I don't know.
Okay, this is what they gave us. The
Hmm.
moonrise, not a video, not a live cut shot out the window. This is what they gave us. Right?
Hmm.
I made this myself in 1 minute.
Hmm.
Right? I made this myself in 1 minute. This is real. I took that in my backyard with my P1000.
Hmm.
Do you ever look at the moon?
Not really. No. I mean, I see it
Look,
in the sky, but
this is sharper, better than what they're showing us. And no, oh, by the way, they went around the moon yesterday or today, and they didn't film it.
so okay. Let me ask you though. So if Earth is flat, do you believe that space exists? I mean, up there.
Space is fake.
Well,
There is
where's
no
the
space.
well then what is the moon? Where's the moon?
One's right in our atmosphere. We live in a world in a pressurized system. There is something containing the air. I don't think there's a vacuum above. I think there's water, and NASA kind of says that there's water, basically. Um, and everything that we see in the sky is underneath the firmament. Hey, everybody, quick message that I'd like to share with all of you. Our lives are filled with toxins in our air, food, and even in the information we're taught. Avoiding them all is impossible, but helping your body detox doesn't have to be complicated. That's where Masterpiece comes in. Just 5 drops under your tongue twice a day, and that's it. Super easy, super simple, and it doesn't even taste bad. I've tried countless supplements, and while generally I'm pretty healthy, I didn't really feel much of an effect. But with Masterpiece, it delivered noticeable benefits. Check out the podcast I did with Terry from Masterpiece, linked below this video, or you can find links directly to Masterpiece on my website, flatearthdave.com, or in the shopping section on the app. The key to health is to detoxify. Now back to the show.
So you think that there's kind of like you've seen the movie Spaceballs.
Great movie.
Okay. So the part where the big vacuum thing comes over and then there's like an opening to the hatch where they could suck all the air out. Do you think there's like a top like that on where
I think
we're
that I think the firmament is very low. It would be like, you know, I think the firmament starts at like 70, 80 miles up.
Okay.
And so 70, 80 miles up, that's like Connecticut is way bigger than that. So it wouldn't turn Connecticut on its side. It wouldn't, then you run it across the whole earth. It's not a big dome like we see, when we look at these snow globes. Actually, you have a real, but this is a longer conversation, but we see in a big high dome to our relative position. We see in our personal atmospheric dome. We live inside of a sphere. This is where we live on the plane of inertia, and all of the luminaries are spinning around in these magnetic fields up in the sky.
Okay. So what is if the Earth is flat and there's this kind of globe dome thing over it, what goes beyond the dome?
We don't know. How would I know? How would you
Well,
know?
that's what I'm saying, though. I'm curious because there has to be something behind the dome too, right? I mean, if you're saying there's something beyond the Antarctica and the flat Earth, isn't there something above the dome too?
So we don't know what's above. NASA talks about everything in space with ships, docks, sea of tranquility. They're talking in all nautical terms. So, what's out there? You go on my app, if you go to the images section and you just type in map, let's see what we get. Map. What if the world is set up like this? What if this is our local pond? Here we are, right?
Mhm.
The sun and the moon circle around here, right? This is Antarctica. And what's this? Extra territory, extra land, extra terra, extra terrestrials from the outer space beyond Antarctica. Maybe this is the land that he saw, that Admiral Byrd saw. And there's lots of books about it. Look up the Iron Republic, amazing book. There's a whole bunch of books. But we live here. All the countries agree that we can't go past this purple line independently. There's zero independent exploration. It's guarded by the military, and you can't go out there. This was a map that was published in Hawaiian newspaper in 1907. This is just the map, not the newspaper. And showing all these continents out here. What's up with that? There's like 30 continents out here.
So I'm still curious about this dome. Do you think there's a possibility like anybody got so far? Like, I guess the atmosphere, the firmament of what you called it, does it also encapsulate all this stuff that you just showed me, that there might be stuff outside of the Antarctica? Would it incorporate all that too?
Well, we don't know. We don't know what's beyond 60 degrees south. So it's speculating on it to prove the shape of the Earth doesn't do anything. I do like speculating about it. Lots of books. The Smoky God, I said, the Iron Republic. There's all sorts of books. If you go to my book section, I have and again, believing is easy. Go to books, and I say to more land, and we have all these books on more land. There's amazing, amazing books. But believing is easy. You can just believe, and it takes no extra effort. But if you want to know something, it takes time and effort. You got to actually use your God given common sense.
So, do you ever are there like flat Earth conventions and stuff?
Absolutely. There's 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 been a bunch. There was last year. There was like I was speaking at 3 or 4 of them. I just spoke at Anarchapulco in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That's a huge conference, and flat Earth is dominating there. But on the shopping cart in here, there's one in Quartzsite, Arizona, which is just got listed November 13th, 14th, and 15th. That one's like out there, and there's the Guru Gathering in Spain. That's going to be an awesome one with Conspiracy Music Guru and a bunch of other legends. I'm going to that.
Huh.
That one is in when is it? That's in September. Yeah, it's September.
How many people do you typically get at these conventions?
Well, this one's brand new, so we'll see. He's hoping for about 200 at that one.
Okay.
The Anarchapulco had about 1,000.
Huh.
And again, it's and there's meetups. On the app, I have the Meetup Maker, and if you go to the Meetup Maker, um, it people set up meetups all the time and get together. So here, go to the Meetup Maker. Boom, turn that, and I just say sort by date. Let's just throw in a date, random date, and then people can create these meetups. Here's a new one I didn't know about. Where's this one? This one's in Waterbury, Connecticut. I might have to go to that one.
So,
Awesome.
I got to ask you, when we did our last episode, we got a lot of views, and then we got a lot of comments, and a couple of the comments I found quite interesting. I wanted to get your response to them. One person said that you last time you said I'll offer 3 Bitcoins to anyone who can prove that the Earth is a globe, and they claimed that someone had already done it. Do
Yeah.
you know
So
what they're referring to when they say that, and what's your
no. So
response?
I'll tell you what.
Okay.
I'll tell you my response. So Globers make comments. There's no proof of flat Earth. There's only proof of flat Earth. As a matter of fact, I created a flat. This is thanks to the Globers. Right here, it's flashcards, and we started off with 215 flat Earth proofs. So anytime
Mhm.
someone says there's no proof of flat Earth, you can text them one of them. You can text them. You can text them one. Here, let me just show you. Um, so they Globers claim the craziest things. So here is you just flip
I love how you guys have your own accurate Globers. I love that.
Globers. Well, they call it flat earthers. They call them Globers.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
great. I think that's great. Tip for
yeah.
tat.
Well,
Yeah.
and so you have these. You can just share. You can hit the share and send them to whoever. And there's over 220, and some of them have links to other information. So here, Alphen waves, then you could hit the I, and that'll take you to more information about it.
Yeah.
So uh archaeology, that's amazing. This proves the earth is flat. There's ancient buildings um that are still lined up with the exact stars that they were built, proving that we're not moving, that the stars move.
Hmm.
Let me ask a question. What would make you say that the earth is spinning?
What would
What would
make me?
do you believe the earth is spinning?
Yeah.
Okay, why?
I mean, that's just what I've been told.
What you've been told. You've been told that's the Santa
Yeah.
Claus too, right?
Yeah.
So
But,
what evidence, use your own mind now. What evidence is there that the earth is spinning? Like when you go to the beach, do you see the sun move across the sky?
sure. Yeah.
Okay. Now, is that because the sun is moving across the sky, or because you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound when you're watching the sunset? Because when you're watching the sunset, the sun's not moving. You're on a ball falling over backwards, making the sun look like it's going down faster than the speed of sound. That's what your religion makes you believe.
Hmm.
We just say the sun is just going away and we can watch it go away.
Hmm. Well, where does it go?
It goes, that's a great question. And let's get into that real quick. Sunsets. So the sun just moves into the distance. What is it? Lane? Uh, um, okay, here we go. So, so I have my hallway set up here,
Mhm,
and I've got I just got some pillows on the floor here, and I have this sun, which is on a tripod above them, right?
mhm,
And now, so this can represent land in the distance, or you know how when you look at the clouds in the sky, they in the distance, 20, 30 miles away, they literally merge with the horizon. So this
sure.
could just be the cloud deck of opacity. And that 20,000 feet of atmosphere over 30, 40, 50 miles literally compresses into a line at your eye level. The sun's above it. So when we drag the sun away, it just goes away beyond it. There it goes. It went beyond it. You can't see it. Now, Globers say, but if you go up in a building like the Burj Khalifa, you go up, all of a sudden you can see it again. Yeah, because you're higher. You're seeing better perspective
Mm,
over it. But
mm,
the light doesn't travel forever because light doesn't travel forever because it gets absorbed into the medium. It does. They want you to believe that light travels for billions of years. Stars burned out, and we're still seeing them today. It's absolutely insane. But let me just show you. Um,
well, how do you explain that that it that the sun sets in one direction and rises in another if it's
oh,
not a globe?
I'll explain that too. So here's the sun just going away into the thicker atmosphere, and at one point it just kind of fades out because
Okay.
it's still there, but the sun it can't its light can't push to you. Let me go to another one here. So here's another one. The sun was going down, 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 and then it stopped and it sat here until it just disappeared. Now you've never seen this because you never put a drone up on a super cold day with no humidity and watched it while you're freezing your hands off, right? All right,
Right.
because but this is what happens. But when you're down low, my friends were at the beach over here and they saw the sunset from the bottom up 10 minutes earlier. I'm still watching it.
Hmm.
Yeah, same thing. It was going down, 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 down. Use a solar filter. It doesn't matter. It should keep on going down if we're spinning, but it stops due to perspective. It's just going into the distance.
Hmm.
So let me show you how perspective works, right? So where is my here it is, kitchen. So I set up this little flat earth kitchen. This line here represents the path of the sun. It's level to my counter, and I'm showing you the path of the sun from an elevated celestial point of view from the height of the sun. These are mountains or cloud deck or whatever, but I'm never going below it. The line is level. You see the setup?
Okay.
You see it? Got it?
Mhm.
Now I
Yep.
have a camera on the counter. So a terrestrial camera watching the same thing. And I'm going to show you what that camera saw. It saw this. Is that line level or is it sloping down? Sure looks like it's sloping down. Is this thing going below that thing? It sure looks like it is. It's just going beyond it. This is a level line. When I zoom in, it's even look, this is a level line. And the sun is not going below this mountaintop or this cloud deck. It's going beyond it. And that's what we see as the sunset. Here's a real sunset. Here's my simulated sunset. What's the sun going behind right there?
Yeah, but
It's going
the
beyond the atmospheric deck of opacity. You think it's going below the curve of the earth.
but shouldn't it come back the same way if it goes the
No,
way it
so
comes
let me
back?
explain that. So
Okay.
first, circumnavigation, by the way, only works east and west, right? Circumnavigation only works east and west. So, oops, I want to get rid of that. Um, circumnavigation, where did it go? There we go. So, so here I got a magnet and I got
Mhm.
my compass north. It points north. So west is 90 degrees to north. So I have to go in a circle. I have to
Mm.
keep turning to the right to maintain a heading of 270. See how that works? And I come right back to
Mhm.
where I started from. Understood?
Okay. Yeah.
East is a circle. I'm keeping my compass. Now, if you were on a racetrack on a car 500 miles around, you'd think you were driving in a straight line. You would think it. These are way bigger circles. You don't even notice that you're turning. You're just watching your compass. Now, if I try to dead reckon, which means I'm not going to correct, as soon as I start moving, I'm heading south.
Hmm.
South is every way away. All of these lines are south. coming from the center out. They're all south. All right. So the sun circle. So, by the way, you can't circumnavigate south. If you go south, you don't pop up on the other side. You don't go south from Santiago and pop up in Australia. You should if it's a ball, but no one's ever done it. All right. No one's ever, 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 ever done it. So let me show you on my app. Easiest way to understand it. The sky is a clock. It's a 24-hour clock. You know, let me just switch it to 24 hours for you. 24 hours. Well, so look, the sky is a clock. Wherever the sun is, it's noon. So I'm here. Sun just went down. I'm on the East Coast, right? It's 8 p.m., right? 2100 hours. And the sun just circles around. Now it spirals out in December. It's way out here on this yellow line, Tropic of Capricorn. It's summer in Australia because the sun's high above them, high above the close and above. The closer it is, the higher it is, the higher it looks. All right. And so it's out south. And then it comes around. Where's it coming from? This is coming from the east, going west. So I'm in Connecticut at about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. The sun rises. And here's my sunrise. It's coming towards me. The sun just circles around. Our seasons are because the sun gets closer to us in June and farther to us in December. And it migrates in for 6 months and out for 6 months. And just this little difference here, that little difference is huge. Let me just show you. Tell me, I want you to use your God-given common sense. Ready?
Okay.
So last year when I was in Acapulco, Mexico, actually I was here on the tip of Yucatan, and it was 95 degrees. But here in the Northeast, it was -10, 100-degree difference.
Okay.
So what explains that? You can't say it's the tilt of the Earth because if the Earth is spinning, the tilt is changing all day long from left to right instead of forward and back. A tilt is a tilt. It doesn't matter. 100-degree difference. And if you look at the distance from here to here with the Earth curve, it's like 0.00003% farther, the sun. That means nothing. That doesn't do anything. 100-degree difference. Why is there a 100-degree difference? Well, if you look on the flat Earth, the sun was right here. That yellow line is where I was. And it was 100 degrees colder here. The sun is twice as far away.
Got it. Interesting.
And everything in between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer is called the tropics. It's warm in there. It's why everything is warm in there, because the sun never gets too far from them. It goes a little way, then it comes back. And it actually crosses over them twice. Here in Connecticut, it doesn't cross over me ever. It comes and it leaves. It's tricking me. That's why I have to go to Mexico.
So what would it take for you to change and become a glober? Is there anything anyone could ever do to convince you were?
I can't say no, but I know the answer is no, nothing, because you'd have to prove axial rotation and curvature. You can't.
Okay.
I'll say I'll be a glober if you can prove axial rotation and curvature. If you can prove how space violates natural law, where you can't have high pressure next to no pressure without containment. Right? You know, that gas violently fills the available space. You ever see what happens? NASA once put an astronaut into a vacuum chamber in the 60s, and he almost died. They literally passed out because his tongue started to boil. Right? So let me just show you. Here is, where is it? Gas in a vacuum. Here. So remember your science class. This is easy. We've got gas, a vacuum, and a valve. So a vacuum means no pressure, right? All the air was sucked out. What happens when we open this valve?
Doesn't it just go up and go into the vacuum?
Instantly, it'll just equalize, right? So now it's half in here and half in there. It equalized.
Okay.
Gravity didn't hold it down. It went up. Now, if I made this vacuum the size of a warehouse, all of this gas would go up. It would, because it would equalize.
Okay.
And it would just be gone violently, instantly. How do we have a vacuum adjacent to a high pressure atmosphere. And the globers will say, well, there's a gradient. It gets lighter and lighter pressure. Um, yeah, there's gradients in you have a half tank of propane. It's liquid on the bottom, thicker in the middle, lighter on the top. Put a hole in that, all the gas is gone instantly.
Hmm.
Right? Gas needs to be contained. Right? And then also, there's other reasons. It's cold. You take a tank of helium or any gas, and you make one side hot and the other side cold. The hot one's going to have more pressure, the hot side, and the cold side's not. Well, the higher up you are, it's colder, so you have less pressure.
Hmm.
Also, it's harder to breathe up top. One, because there's less pressure, and two, because there's less oxygen. Because oxygen in this is one other theory that's being tested out there is paramagnetic. So there are stronger magnetic fields down here. So I'm theorizing that the magnetic fields closer to the Earth hold more oxygen down here, and there's less up high. But you
Man.
don't even need that because this debunks the globe.
Hmm.
Absolutely debunks the globe. When you put something into a vacuum like this football and we lower the pressure, the football explodes.
Hmm.
How come astronauts' spacesuits don't explode when they go out in space?
I thought that they create a pressurized system within the shuttle, don't they?
Yeah, but when they go on a spacewalk, how come their snowboarding suit doesn't explode?
That I don't know. It's a great question.
Yeah, because they're not in space, because space is fake.
Man, it's fun to I gotta tell you, it's fun to talk about this. I like like I said, I don't know if I don't think I'm convinced, but at the same time though, it's fun to
What
theorize.
what is your best proof? What is the one thing that makes you think that the earth is a globe? What's your best globe
Well,
evidence?
I
The thing
don't
that holds
think
you on besides that's what they told me and I don't want to rework my whole life.
no, I don't think it's that. I think that I just don't believe that these astronauts and everybody are just giant conspiracy trying to convince me that the Earth is a globe to save creatures that live outside of the Antarctic circle.
Well,
I just
I don't know what's going on. That was just pure
yeah,
speculation.
no, I understand. I
The astronauts, what are the reasons they lie? I don't know. Maybe they're in trouble. There's a lot of evidence that the Apollo crew were the three guys that escaped from Antarctica from Alcatraz. Look that up. Look up Apollo astronauts Alcatraz escape.
I didn't even
And
realize there were 3 people who did escape from Alcatraz.
yeah, it was a very famous story. And if you compare their faces, all three of them are identical.
Yeah.
Identical.
Yeah, I guess for me, I kinda do this whole kind of, and you're probably gonna say, "Well, I do the same thing on your end," but like an Occam's razor thing, like the most logical conclusion is usually the right one, and it just seems like why I just can't wrap my head around the idea that there's like this global cabal of people
So
that just try to wanna
that's
keep us in a globe idea
so
for some
so
reason.
there's not that many people, and the reason is control. But forget about believing and speculating on their motives. Look at the evidence. The
Yeah.
evidence is clear. We can see too far. You can't have high pressure next to no pressure. Water fluid statics show that the Earth is level. We can send microwave beams, low energy microwave beams, from a ship to a buoy. It shouldn't go 10 miles because there'd be 60 feet blocking it, but we've done 800 miles, which would have been 85 feet of curvature, and they can beam it 85 miles. There's no bouncing off of any ionosphere. That's all made up stuff to protect their globe religion,
Well,
right?
I think the thing that and this is something as a lawyer that I look at and say, "Okay, well, the idea that there's no evidence of a globe, that's not true. We have testimonial evidence. We have
Test,
testimonial."
they have testimonial evidence that NORAD tracked Santa when I was a
Yeah,
kid.
right, but what I'm saying is there are people who have, allegedly gone there, spent their whole lives saying they were there, took pictures of it. I know you've
Took
shown me
pictures of
something
what?
took pictures of the Earth from the spaceship. I mean, you know what I mean?
What
It's
pictures of Earth? Can you show me one?
I mean, I don't have them on me because, like I said,
I have
this
them on
isn't
me.
my
Would you like me to show you?
sure, you can show me. I like I said, the
So,
reason you
so
understand, this
you,
is
you
not my
you're
calling,
having a
right?
hard time letting go. Let me ask a question. These 8 pictures are all different. So only one of them can be real or none of them are real. Right? That's a problem. That's a
Okay.
huge problem. So they're all from NASA. Why are they faking pictures?
Couldn't they all look different from different times, different places, a different atmospheric
Really?
cloud cover and things of that nature? Sure, why not?
No.
Okay.
So here. Let's look at this. Maybe this will help you see. So here's a 2012 picture. You got the United States here, Mexico, right? So the United States got awfully big, but whatever. All right. So
Okay.
so we put it right here. It's showing you exactly what we're seeing. So you have to believe that all of this land is on the other side of this ball.
Yeah.
That makes sense to you?
Sure. I mean, I've seen. Well, listen.
So
It makes sense. It makes.
hold
Well,
on.
let me say what I mean.
No, hold on. You can't.
What I mean by that is I've seen a globe where it all fits, so it makes sense in my head because I've seen
So,
it.
but
But
NASA, forget what you've seen. Okay, right? This is a photo from space, according to NASA. It's fake. Here's the other side. Oh, look, Africa. All right, so we'll put it here. So all of this has to be on the other side. Wait a minute. This has to be on the other side with that. Well, we only have that, right? They're horrible at this. They're testing us. They're testing us, right?
if there was a global elite with a boundless amount of money and all this technology,
They don't need
but it,
money. They use money
what
to control us.
well, what I'm saying is wouldn't they? I mean, like, if they were gonna try to fake it, wouldn't they do better than this?
I don't know. Maybe they're dumb. Maybe they're just testing us. You know, the whole globe thing came Universal in 1927 had a spinning globe as their logo, and then when NASA went to space, it matched it perfectly. How did that happen?
Yeah, that's a
How
great
did that
question.
happen?
That's a great question. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm not saying there's not questions. I just don't know.
but you said you believe it because people have taken pictures. People have taken
Well,
pictures.
I am more not that I believe it, but
Is
I
this a
am
photo?
more.
Is that a photo?
I mean, it could be. It could be. I mean, now I
Is
agree
that
with
a
what you're
photo?
saying. I can agree with what you're saying that
This I'll tell
now
you, this was not made on a computer. Was it? Is this a photo? Is that a photo?
it certainly looks like one.
Yeah, these are paintings,
Okay,
right? Those are paintings. So people want to believe that these crap. Do you think that's harder to make that than this? I mean, that versus this. Do you think anyone can paint this?
sure.
And the guy that made this, he admitted in an interview that he made it in Photoshop out of data that NASA gave him.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, there's more plankton here, and there's this and that, and he told how he made it in Photoshop. Even when they tell us there's people that are highly indoctrinated that'll say, well, I still I don't believe it. Right? Do you think this is a photo? This is a painting. Somebody painted this. Look at the reflections and everything. Right? And then
I'm not
and
saying they don't have the capability to fake it. I'm just saying I
but
don't
we
believe
can
it.
prove that they're faking it. We can
Well,
prove that they're faking it because here, if you don't get this, this I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to say. They tell us the radius of the Earth is 7,917 miles.
okay,
Okay, between these, that's 7,917. Then we could look here, we can go on a map and we could actually verify without relying on pictures. We can drive across Mexico and prove that this is 934 miles from Baja to the far side of Mexico.
okay,
934 miles. Perfect.
okay.
Well, here's the far side of Mexico and Baja, 934 miles. Well, I should be able to fit eight and a half of these line segments in between these two lines. Eight and
Mhm.
a half doesn't even fit on this slide.
Okay.
What does that tell you about this picture?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I
Well, what is it?
go
No,
ahead.
no, no, not like what you said. What does that tell you absolutely factually about this image?
Well, it appears based on what you're showing me, if these are all if these are all, what do you call it, I don't know if it's anatomically correct or they're all to scale, that wouldn't fit
This
around the
is a
globe.
photo from NASA. This is a physical measurement of what they photographed. This is the diameter that everything in this world is based on, and it doesn't fit. What does it tell you? I'll give you a hint. It tells you that this picture is fake. If NASA's faking pictures of Earth, then your number one reason that you think the Earth is a globe is completely debunked.
Well, like I said, okay, first of all, you're talking to the wrong person because I don't know the first thing about science or math. I don't
So now you're just deflecting. I don't have an education. The less
no,
educated you are in the indoctrination system, the smarter you are.
no, but my point being is that I couldn't explain mathematically why that all might work or not. There'd be somebody better at that
Wait a
than
minute.
me.
Come on. Yes, you can. If you can't do that, then I would never want you as a lawyer. You should be able to, like, if you,
My point
let me
is
ask you a
what
question. Let me ask you a question. You got a box that's 1 foot square, and I've got a baseball bat that's 3 feet long. Can I fit it in the box?
no, but my point
Okay.
is, but my point,
End of
hold on,
story. You're able to understand that.
but my point is though, is this, is that when you're saying it to me, let me put it this way. When you're saying it to me, it makes a lot of sense, right? When you're saying it, I go, yeah, I can see where you're coming from with this information. But I bet there's somebody out there much more educated than me who's on the other side who's going to explain that. That's also going to make sense to me.
Nobody has an explanation for that.
No, there's no
You're,
one out there that
there's
has an
no one has an
explanation.
explanation for that. Nobody.
So if I can find someone for an explanation for that, would you accept it?
I have to hear it. It'd have to be a
Sure.
good explanation.
Sure, that's what I'm saying. I'm curious. So here's the thing. I've never gone to somebody. I've never had a person come on here and say, you know, prove to me that the Earth is a globe. I've just never done that. I'd be curious to hear what somebody has to say about it. And I will acknowledge this too. When you, when I do, if I do talk to somebody, I bet they're just going to go, I don't even want to talk about it because it's just so silly. The flat Earth stuff is so silly.
Yeah,
I hope that
that's what that's brainwashing.
yeah, I just hope that there's I would love to hear a response to this from
Look up on my channel if you there's an interview that we did with a PhD.
Mhm,
I encourage you to watch that. If you just search on my app, go PhD, I think it'll come right up.
mhm,
And where is he? Oh, here it is. This guy. This guy, Matthew. He's
mhm,
amazing. Um, you can also find it on my website under what's it under selected interviews. So
mhm,
yeah,
mhm. So he's a PhD in what?
yeah. He's I forget his exact requirements, but you could listen to him. He engineering.
Okay,
Here's the thing: a PhD doesn't make you smart, but
I agree.
people love referring to credentials, including you. You're like, well, I'm not a scientist. I don't know, right? You know that a 3 foot bat doesn't fit into a 1 foot box, right?
Sure, sure, I
You know
agree
that
with that.
Mexico proves that picture's fake.
But what I'm saying is that when it comes to curvature, the math of that and all those different things, I'm sure there's an explanation that somebody's gonna point out
You're
of it.
sure there's
Yeah.
explanations, but they're ridiculous,
Well,
right?
okay,
You have to
but
listen to them
you
and you
have
have to understand them. I talked about the refraction. Remember, it all has to refract up perfectly. That doesn't refract up higher. It has to refract up perfectly. Every foot has to refract up a little farther than the foot before it, and it all has to stop and look perfectly flat. It's so
so
dumb. It's the
I
dumbest thing ever.
I understand what you're saying, but also to me, who you have to understand me, who's apparently indoctrinated into this, the idea that the Earth is really flat and that Antarctica is some secret place where there might be other people
I
outside of
don't
it.
know what's out there. I
No,
don't
I
know.
understand, but there's some nameless, faceless, really rich person that's controlling us all and telling us that it's a globe for some
I don't
odd
think that's
reason.
it at all. That's you saying that. I didn't say that.
Well, that's what it sounds like. Is there
Well,
some
no, I
controller out there we
I don't
don't know?
know. I don't know who's out there. I don't know what's going on out there, but there's lots of stories out there. Let me just show you one last thing.
Sure.
This is water needs to be contained. When it's at rest, it lies flat. When it gets cold, it freezes. We're on this lake. We have a camera 6 inches above the water, above the ice. We put these 4 lights out here at 8 miles, 7 miles, 6 miles, and 5 miles. Doesn't seem like far, but the horizon at 6 inches is less than a mile away, right?
Okay.
With an incredible amount of refraction, giving the globe more refraction than they even ask for, this light should be 30 feet below the horizon, 22, 15, and 9. Now,
Mhm.
there's two explanations. The flat Earth explanation is cameras on the ice, and it just sees these lights across the flat ice, and they all line up perfectly. The globe explanation is the cameras here, the tangent of the Earth is 0.88 miles away. And this one's refracting up that amount. This one's refracting up more. This one's refracting up more. This one's refracting up more. And again, none of them go higher. None of them are lower. They all refract up perfectly to trick you into thinking that this is a level plane. That's your story. That's my story.
No, I mean, like I said, I'm curious to hear what Globers will say in response to what you say. Because when you listen, when
Oh,
you're talking to it,
you're going to hear that all of the trolls are going to show up, and they're going to take your side, and they're going to just tell you everything you want to hear. They're all going to show up in the comments. You'll see.
Maybe maybe you're right. It's interesting. I love talking to you because I'll tell you one thing that happened was some of the comments came in and suggested that you may not actually believe this stuff, that you're just doing it for money.
Look, that's something that you wanted to hear. That's not
No,
true
no, no,
at
no.
all.
I'm not. What I'm trying to say is I don't believe that at all. I believe you legitimately believe this stuff. I
don't believe it. I know it.
That's what I'm saying.
You believe you live on a ball because of pictures. I showed you the pictures aren't real, but you still believe it. So I don't understand your belief.
No, what I'm saying is that I believe that you have that you're not faking what you're doing. I believe that
you've done the work.
You've done the work to be where you're at. So you've shown us your website, flatearthdave.com. That's the best place to get you back.
Go to the crash course down there. You can click interviews button, watch some of my other interviews, and or get the app if you really want to learn deep and have all your questions answered. On the app, a lot of the questions you asked are all answered on the frequently asked questions, like where does the sun go? We see too far, Coriolis effect, gravity. Why would they lie? This is a great section. You'd love that section.
I would.
ISS.
I would.
And I actually just added on the more resources page, I added a Artemis page with all sorts of Artemis stuff.
That's awesome. So,
yeah.
Are you also on social media? Are you on Facebook and Instagram? And
Facebook, Flat Earth Dave, at Flat Earth Dave. I'm on TikTok, at Flat Earth Dave, and I'm on X, Flat Earth Dave X.
Okay, great. Well, it's like I said, it's always fun to have you on. I really appreciate it. This is stuff you've given me lots to think about. I'm gonna look on your website and particularly that why would they lie part.
Yeah, well, that's on the website. That's on the app. But on the website, you can go down to the crash course and start watching those videos. You watch the first 3 or 4 or 5 videos, you'll have to see the world differently. Otherwise, you didn't watch them.
All right. Well, great. Well, for those of you listening, thanks for watching. Always subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks.
The power of affirmations is transformative. When you repeat a thought, your mind listens. What you say consistently, your subconscious begins to accept. What it accepts, it starts to look for. And what it looks for, it begins to create. Daily affirmations train your mind to synchronize with these thoughts. Your focus shifts. Your perception changes. Your actions begin to align naturally. This is not pretending. This is conditioning your inner dialogue to work for you. Daily affirmations are now available on the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. To see all affirmations together, search Daily Affirmations. To focus on unconditional love, search love. For health and vitality, search health. And for abundance and prosperity, search wealth. Read these every day, out loud if you can. Then allow the process to work and watch how your life begins to transform.